Hey there, welcome back to True North Reviews. My name is Ryan, and today we'll be discussing the newest record from the Canadian alternative rock band Arkells. This one is entitled Rally Cry. Rally Cry is the fifth studio album from the Hamilton Rockers, a band that has been building up momentum over the past 10 years, giving the world a taste of their sound with their first full-length record in 2008, Jackson Square, which was a punchy rock album that featured plenty of ball-busting bass lines, abrasive and loud guitar, and catchy singles in the form of Oh, the Boss is Coming, Ballad of Hugo Chavez, Pulling Punches, and John Lennon. Since the successful debut record dropped in 2008, Max Kerman, the band's lead vocalist, has gone on to note many influences for the Arkells, including Motown and top 40 music. And over the years, the pop and top 40 influences become more apparent while progressing through the group's discography. Most notably, Arkells have always been a solid band for pumping out catchy singles, and they have never shied away from an ever-present pop formula in their songs too. It's something that has always given them appeal in the crowded scene of Canadian alternative rockers, and with recent times, the Arkells have leaned more on that pop formula and reflected it with more synthetic sounds in the drums, wider instrumentation with strings, less emphasis on the guitar, but still keeping a focus or even a heightened sense of storytelling. The storytelling was undeniable and hard to ignore after I personally got to see the band live in September of 2016 during the Frosh Week tour that the Arkells went on to various Ontario universities. And at that time in 2016, the new tracks from Morning Report, the band's fourth studio record, A Little Rain, A Song for Pete, Drake's Dad, were towering for the anthemic melodies and stadium rock feel. And even when Max introduced previous songs from the catalog, especially the track from High Noon, Never Thought That This Would Happen.
Sometimes you make out with the love. Feels like, hold on a second, what the fuck are you talking about? You're full of shit. And the priest says, I swear to God. The priest says, holy fuck, you're right. It's actually a song by the Arkells.
You could tell that the group had a knack for telling stories mid-song to connect with the audience to make for a spectacular live show. So between the urge for crossover success and bigger stadium shows, we have the Arkells releasing their newest record, Rally Cry, an album that takes aim at outward learning. And what I mean by outward learning is that it's an album opposite to introspection. It leans on learning from others, empathizing, and banding together to love each other, or even channeling our frustrations and disappointments to make something productive out of them. With the singles Knocking at the Door and People's Champ, the Arkells have never been a stranger to politically charged songs, and they prove once again that they aren't afraid to take risks with that on the tracks American Screams and Company Man. The former American Screams is decked out with encapsulating synthesizers, quick and catchy guitar riffs, a disco drum beat, and strings lurking in the background of the mix to round out this 1980s feel of a song. And because of these elements, it's definitely one of the cleanest and most sterile recordings for the Arkells, but it doesn't let down any fans because it has a really catchy melody. And what amazes me more is that this song takes risks by jumping out of the usual comfort zone of the Motown influence while intelligently tackling the American shooting at Mandalay Bay Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas back in 2017. It really is a track with a form that isn't reinventing the wheel or anything, but the production is stellar, and the versatility of the lyrical rhythm from Max is dazzling for its melodic stick too. Just as soon as American Screams ends, the Arkells introduce us to another new side of their sound while experimenting over top of their first ever sample from the South African pop producer Chico. And this experiment comes in the form of a song called Relentless, which is Rally Cry's first official single, and it's lyrically centered around the late Canadian music legend Gord Downie, and the song's energy is derived from a sense of wanting to overcome life's hardships and standing up for what you believe in. Something that sounds corny, but in the context of the song, it's anything but that. It really is badass. Unfortunately, not all risks taken on this album hit their mark, as the song Eyes on the Prize fuses a kids' choir gospel tinge with funk, which is awkward on paper and doesn't quite transition to the performance on the album either. From the heavily synthetic sounds and eclectic influences in the millennial whoop, this track kind of feels like it's left as a sonic mess, not knowing what direction it's going for other than trying to reach a bigger audience. Not that having a wide variety of influences on a track is bad, it's just that the Arkells are trying to push too many buttons and trying to jam in as much as possible. Sometimes the KISS principle of keeping it simple is really the best path to take with songwriting. But speaking of simplicity, in a good way, the opening track on Rally Cry, Hand Me Downs, is the poster child for basic drum patterns, but it works well with the high energy feel for the song, as the Arkells essentially seem to be saying farewell to their indie roots in an elegant little tune. Elsewhere on Rally Cry, we get a track called Only for a Moment, and that sounds like it's nostalgically trying to make fans of High Noon happy, and does it? Well, sort of. While lyrically positive and trying to stay locked in on the moment, I feel like the song plays way too closely to 1111, and I just end up enjoying the story and hook from that one instead of this new single. As I wrap up this review, I'll be talking about the final two songs on this project, Company Man and Don't Be a Stranger. Speaking of their instrumentation, we get a return of the guitar guiding the track's gut and raw power, especially on the song Company Man, showcasing hard and abrasive tones in the outro, complemented by really nice drum fills. Really, the whole track just contrasts well from the feel-good, relaxing chorus melody to the thick textures in the instruments. And lastly, Don't Be a Stranger feels like a sleeper hit on this record. The chord progression feels like something Weezer threw on their White Album on the song Endless Bummer, but it's easily got the Arkells twist on the lyrics with more vivid imagery, with a personal story of a friend dealing with addiction. Ultimately, it's a track that wraps up the themes of the album very nicely, even though the project has a few rough patches along its 36-minute runtime. Don't get me wrong, I like Rally Cry as an album, I still feel positive, but I think the singles just outshine a lot of the deeper cuts on it. Yes, many risks are taken, and I gotta give Arkells credit where it's due. Some of the genres experimented with are clicking with me, while some missed the landing or just failed the execution. For positives, I definitely hear the stronger production value over Morning Report, and I also think that the indie rock to stadium rock modern pop sound transition is now complete. The possibilities of the future for the group are bright, but I'll still argue that High Noon is the band's best work to date. And with all that being said, I'm feeling a 6 out of 10. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you like the stadium rock approach from the group? Do you think it pays off? Join the conversation below. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. My name is Ryan from True North Reviews, and as always, have a rockin' day. Thanks for watching.
And I'm running first and I'm sliding in the second.